Susan, as Gladys just spoke about, the sun's out. That's the good news today, but there is still bad news to come because it can be deceptive.
Yeah, I hope the Prime Minister doesn't think that because the sun's shining that this is all over now. Water's going to be high for the next few days and it then takes a long time to recede. You've then got to look and see if the bridges are safe to be passed over. So we have a really long clean-up ahead to get people on the other side connected back to, this side of the river, but also the individual clean-ups are going to be horrific for people.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Jonathan Lee, my colleague, a short time ago and asked him, what are we expecting to see once these rivers recede? You're going to have engineers coming out as well here to inspect the bridge and make sure that's safe.
Well, this is a new bridge. It's the first flood that it's experienced, so we do need to see how it's withstood the waters, as we do with the North Richmond Bridge, which has seen many floods. That getting the bridges passable is just the start.
Sure.
As the waters, they're going to be stagnant for a couple of days now. The smell will start to come up, the mould will take hold. I think it's hard for people to conceive that a flood, unlike a fire that moves through and the clean-up of your own property, if it's rubble, it's cleaned away pretty fast. With a flood, it's just a long, slow and expensive process.
What about mentally? How are people in your electorate holding up? It's not just this challenge, it's been challenge upon challenge upon challenge out here.
Yeah, well, obviously tough as boots out here, but this will take its toll. We're really focused on the people who've had flood damage to their homes, but there's also the people who have been evacuated and don't even know if their home has been flood affected. I spoke to one man yesterday in Richmond, had no idea whether waters have got into his home, and he won't know that till the roads are passable for him to go back.
That would be days.
It will be absolutely days. I spoke to a young woman this morning. She's sleeping in a car along with her family. They haven't connected in with the evacuation services yet because they didn't think it would be for that long. And now they're the sort of people who will need to seek help. They won't be able to get back to their home. It's right next to a school. The entire area is completely flooded. So these individual stories, that's what's going to take the toll. And then you've got people across the river worried about food supplies. They are cut off, and that is really taking its toll. We managed to get food in thanks to the help from David Littleproud, the Minister, brought people together. We got food in with Coles taking supplies in yesterday, more going across in barges today. But this is a really ongoing issue. The work is far from over.
Well, and then Jonathan again made the point a short time ago that going down the track, insurance premiums, they're going to go up even further, which is going to be a real problem for businesses, particularly those who already can't afford those premiums because they're too high.
I can't count the number of people who I've said, are you insured? And they've said, nope, we can't afford it. When premiums changed significantly about 8 years ago, they went up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And they simply cannot, they've made a judgment that they can't afford it. So what they know they have the cost to bear themselves. What they want to know is how quickly will governments come in and what support will they give? They just want to know. What we saw in the bushfires is it took a long time for governments to decide exactly what the support would look like. In this case, we can't afford to wait. If these guys don't get generators and water blasters to get the mud and rubbish off their walls within a couple of days, it's going to cake on even harder. So this is a really practical thing as the waters recede that we need to have a clear plan.
But those insurance companies, I mean, they call the shots. They declare, right, what the cost is going to be. So, I mean, what do you do about that? You can't do anything. Well,
I think what we've seen is that there's market failure from the insurers on this issue. So we have to be working out who is the insurer of last resort? Is that a place where governments step in? I know in the Northern Territory around cyclones, 20 years ago, there was a time when a state agency stepped in to be the insurer of last resort. They're the questions that we have to start talking through. We can't ignore it. There are people here with massive costs. Some people won't be able to afford the clean-up. What are they going to do? And what do we do when we know that we're going to see more extreme weather situations? So who is the insurer of last resort?
Has it been enough? I mean, you mentioned David Littleproud there, those emergency payments, $1,000 payments for adults, $400 for kids, and then you've got wage support as well for those businesses that have suffered and are not making anything for the next 3 months or so. Is that enough?
I don't think it's going to be enough. Now, there are vegetable producers who their land's going to be underwater for a really long time. They're on those lowlands. They're eligible potentially for 13 weeks at the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
That's not going to get them through to their next crops. We've got the $1,000 for adults. A woman yesterday whose backyard is completely full of water in South Windsor said she spent 2 hours on the phone only to be told she wasn't eligible because it didn't go into her house. So she's still got a big clean-up bill ahead. So these are the sorts of things, the realities and the very tight confines around these small payments are going to be completely inadequate for many families.
And then comes the debate, the political debate about the Warragamba Dam. Do you raise the wall? Do you not raise the wall? Not a new argument. What's your view on that?
I think we do have to have a really serious discussion about that. There are clearly big questions about how effective that would even be. The more urgent questions are, how could we better manage the infrastructure that we have until we decide what the plan is?
Stop people building in floodplains. Is that something?
How about when we build bridges with some flood resilience? And we've got a bridge under planning at North Richmond to duplicate that bridge. People have said to me, we want that to be able to withstand a 1 in 100-year flood. At the moment, they're building it for a 1 in 20-year flood. So why are we investing hundreds of millions of dollars, like there was here, in infrastructure that is completely inadequate? They're the sorts of issues we can tackle now, and evacuation routes.
Susan Templeman, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate that.